to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Brazil. This is the show where we get to talk about sports, we get to talk about business, and we get to talk about everything in between. Wherever you are, however you're listening, you know what to do. 5-star review. I think Spotify, you can do 5-star reviews now. I think this is going to be my first episode that's a video Spotify podcast, so that's kind of cool. I got that. Not bad. We're moving up in the world. So wherever you are, YouTube, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Most importantly, today, my incredible guest, I have Dr. Richard Myles Sr. He's a former New England Patriots safety, CEO, founder of the Minor Football League, president, founder of the Washington Chiefs. Doc, what's up? Or I'm sorry, it's what's up, Doc? There we go. Let's start the show over.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be on. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure is all mine, man. I'm very excited. Obviously, just had Kelsey on the show recently. She was an incredible guest. If you haven't listened, make sure to go back and check her out. I think she was on the last episode.
Yeah.
You're a good friend to her. She said, you know who would be pretty cool? This doctor I know. Maybe you should talk to him. So very excited to get to chat with you, Doc. And the first question I have for everybody on the For the Love of Sports podcast is, why do you love sports so much?
Well, when I was young, we tend to imitate guys that we want to be like as we was young playing football. And I never wanted to be like anybody but me, Of course, watching all the great football players and stuff, you tend to gravitate there. But, I was more concentrating on, trying to become the best player I could be, So those are the type of things that I did.
So what did you do? Like, how did you know what the best was? It doesn't sound like you look. I mean, I'm sure you gained and you looked at other people to kind of pull some of the things they did, but how did you know how to create the best version of yourself?
Well, absolutely. I was one of those little young guys that I always was kind of ahead of myself because I always played with older guys. Cornelius Green, he was the first black player to win the Rose Bowl up at Ohio State. We grew up in the same neighborhood. He went to Dunbar, and I didn't go to Dunbar. I went to Cardozo, and we was good friends, and we used to go up there and watch him. And when I was young, I was a little taller than most kids my size, so I couldn't play in the Catholic League, Nativity. So they said I was too tall. So now I have to wait while my friends played, and they lost, and I feel kind of bad because I know if I played, it would have been a difference. So there, and then when I was in junior high school, I ran track, played basketball. They didn't want me to shoot the ball too much. They want me to do the rebounding, but I wanted to shoot. And Mr. Hedden, Bob Hedden, well-known coach here in Washington, D.C., coach at Cardozo High School, Woodson. One of my gym teachers told him he needed to come take a look at this young man. So I watched Cardozo when I was young through the fence when they played Dunbar. And he told me that, I heard you was a heck of an athlete, and we'd like you to come to Cardozo, let me say the right pronunciation of it. And I said, well, will I get an opportunity to play? Because prior to that, they just won the city championship. So I'm like, So I said, well, you think I get an opportunity to play? I just want to make sure it's fair. And he said, I'm like this, young man, if you can play, my mother sat on the bench. So saying that, I'm like, okay, I'm going. But I wasn't aware of, being 15 years old, going to high school, I didn't realize that you have to go to practice in August. I thought practice started in September. So I'm lollygagging around and everything. So one of the friends in my neighborhood said, hey, Myles, oh, wow, y'all play spin gun tomorrow. I said, we do? He said, yeah. So I'm like, I didn't know, practice had started. So I had to hustle up at the school. And Mr. Hedden, he said, where you been? I said, well, I thought school started. He said, well, you only got a couple of days, because we cut on Thursday. I said, oh, God. So I'm out there breaking my neck, trying to hustle and tackle. Almost got in a couple of fights because, I'm trying to make this team. They had like 200 guys out there. And so all the girls sitting in the stands and doing this because, the guys going to get cut. So I said, oh, my God. So he said, turn my stuff in and we'll see you next year. And as you was running around, he started calling the different names off, and he called my name. Defensive coordinator, Richard Myles. I said, oh my God, my legs almost went limp. Now I done bragged all this time. I played for Cardozo, never played practice one day. So lucky and fortunate, the head coach said, "Who did you call?" He said, "Myles, Richard Myles. He just came here." Mr. Henson said, "Oh no, not him. You going back out there, Myles." So I'm running around the track faster than everybody then, right? So I'm glad he remembered me. And so now you suit up for the game Friday. And he said, "Myles, don't you play center?" I said, "No, I don't play no center." So when the veteran hunched me, he said, "You're not going to get in the game yet. He's just trying to suit you up." So now I got to go pretend that I'm hurt. So I take an H-band and wrap it around my leg. So everybody said, "Myles, what happened?" I said, "I hurt my knee in practice." I know it was terrible, but I did that, and very fortunate that he remembered me, and the rest was history.
Yeah, and here you are now. You made it, man. You're on the For the Love of Sports podcast, so it doesn't really get much better than that for you, right? No, but I appreciate that story. It's good to understand we're kind of, how people get their start in some of the easy things, right? Like that's such a fork in the road moment. You had no idea you
Absolutely.
were supposed to be practicing. Some random person in your neighborhood's like, "Hey, aren't you guys like playing next week?" And you're like, "Oh my god!" I mean, if you never made it there, you went into school in September, and this is right now. This is how many years ago? I don't want to show your age, but this is a
Uh,
couple, social media,
Hey,
text
that was
messages,
30, that was
email.
yeah, absolutely none of that. The fact that the coach remembered me,
Yeah.
and I was blessed on that. But once I got my I won a few freshmen that made the varsity team, and he would always get me in the game, situations. He said, "Myles, I'm watching the game," and I said, "I can't find my helmet." Everybody hand me a helmet. I said, "I can't wear it," but I played because he saw in me something that I knew I had in me, but a lot of other people wasn't sure. And I got an opportunity to play, and most of the guys I played for ended up in the NFL and went to HBCUs and other, top Big Ten schools at that time. So I was the youngest one of the bunch, and I turned out to be very, very good. And I pat myself on the back. And I was one of them unusual players, and I played everything because at that time you want to play when you can play. I want to get that letter.
Hmm.
So I originally came in. I always had speed, so I wanted to play receiver. But when the coach yelled at me, he said, "What you play, young man?" I said, "Linebacker." So some of the veterans knew me. They say, "You don't play linebacker? Are you kidding?" I say, "Well, I'm gonna have to learn, right?" And believe it or not, when the coach transferred to a new school, which Woodson left, which was his quarterback, which he coached with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now, and his career. And they said, "Myles, but you don't play linebacker." So I played, and then I went up and talked to the new coach. He was the defensive coordinator, and I said, "Coach, I'd like to try out middle linebacker." And he said, "Get out of here." He said, "Every linebacker Cardoza had made all Met." I said, "Well, I'm sorry. I guess I'm going to have to make all Met." I said, "Because I'm a star." And believe it or not, I made all Met. I made all American. But I was the running back. I ran kicks and punts back. And I played middle linebacker.
Not a bad gig, man. It sounds like you were all over the field, flying all over the place, enjoying yourself, right? You only get so many opportunities when you're playing at that high of a level and your skill set is that fine tuned where you can do all those things. So go out and do it, man. Enjoy it. And it sounds like you did. And I'm curious. So you bring up a bunch of Big Ten schools, you bring up HBCUs, but I was doing a little research. It looks like you went to Arizona State. How the heck did that happen?
Let me tell you, believe it or not, we lost to Roosevelt in the city championship, and I was one of the arrogant type of players, and they were saying, "Y'all play Roosevelt for the West Championship." They score 45 points a game, and it's a many true words spoken to a joke. I said, "Well, Roosevelt be lucky to score 6 points on us." And believe it or not, that's what they beat us, 6-0 for the West Championship. And I was so hurt because I ran the ball all the way up and down the field. When we got close, the coach decided we're going to fool them and run another play. It didn't include me. And they stopped us, and it hurt me. But just rewinding a little bit, the fact that the Arizona State don't recruit this far. They didn't at that time. And they was up there looking at Roosevelt players. And Roosevelt was the school that beat us. It was real good. Coach Tillerson up there, great coach. And they was Arizona State was up there looking at their players and looking at tape. So they kept saying, "Who is that?" And they say, "Who?" They say, "The guy right there making all the tackles and look like he playing everything." They say, "Oh, that's Myles. You don't know about him? He go to Cardozo. He must be one of the top players in the city." And they said, "Oh, well, we need to say, yeah, you need to go talk with them." They did not recruit me initially. They happened to watch, come to recruit other people, and they saw me, and the rest is history, like
Yeah,
I say.
not bad. I mean, you're going from chilly weather where you're at, right, down to the beautiful desert in Arizona. There, I lived there for a little bit. I absolutely loved it down there, especially in the wintertime. The weather is so
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, in the summer, I'll do without it, but in the winter during football season, I'm sure those August practices, the
I,
spring practices weren't so great, but you made it this far, so it could be
yeah,
worse.
I had to get used to the weather. The climate was different. Had a great coach. A lot of people didn't like Frank Kush, but I thought he was a great coach because I come from an environment where the coach would grab you in the collar. So people was complaining, but that's what I was used to. So I don't know what the big deal was. But he was a good coach and everything, and we played and had a chance to play against SC and guys like I'm telling my age, Anthony Davis with the All-American running back, Munoz. He used to always get mad with me when I played. He called me dirty because I would hit him on his knee. Say, "That's what we get ready to score." I said, "Yeah, but I'm gonna hit you on your knee. Y'all might score." He said, "You dirty, Myles. You dirty." What could I do with them? SC line was so big, but we had an opportunity to play against some great people like Chuck Muncie. I thought he was a grown man when I first saw him. I'm like, this guy in college. So it was kind of funny, but all in all, I really enjoyed the opportunity. Playing in the pack because it was the Pac 8 then.
Yep.
It's not, then. So it was just, I enjoyed it. I had to get used to it out there, Tempe, Arizona. And they used to tell you, don't go into Arizona or don't go into Phoenix by yourself. And I never understood that because, at that time it was still kind of racist. But Scottsdale, I enjoy going, hanging
Oh
up
yeah.
there and stuff. I don't want to talk to them and get myself in trouble. But I really enjoyed myself, and I took advantage of the opportunity that I had.
Yeah, if anyone ever gets a chance, make sure to go to Scottsdale. I'm sure it was a little
No,
different in the late '70s, but it's still a
yeah.
blast now. I was only there a couple months ago, actually. It's an absolute blast, so highly suggested. And so, how did you? What was it like? So, did you? I mean, it sounds like you're a confident guy. As you said, you work on yourself. You always try and make sure that you're the best. And when you set a goal, it seems like you always achieve it. What was your expectation for the NFL? Right? It's not the same NFL as it is today. It's much different. But back then in the
Different,
early '80s,
different.
it was still, every Thanksgiving, people are going to sit down. They're going to watch the Lions and the Cowboys, right? It was still very intense, right? The 80s. What were your expectations for yourself in the potential to get drafted and eventually play in the league?
Well, I knew I was good, but sometimes we can tend to be a legend in our own minds.
I like that.
And
Write that down. Very good.
I did not. I'm looking forward to it. But the draft wasn't as big as it was now,
Yeah.
as it is now. They pay players for what they think they're going to do, as opposed to what they know guys going to do. So I was playing basketball at Kennedy Playground when I got a call, and my brother then ran home behind up the playground. They say, "Hey, you got a phone call?" I said, "Huh? You got a phone call? Come on, come on, come on." So I run back, and I played for a great coach, Raymond Barrett, Hall of Famer, played with the New York Jets and stuff. I mean, and when they called me, first of all, young guy, you really don't comprehend it too much. Say, how would you like to come up to Foxborough, get an opportunity? Would you like to play with the Patriots? I said, huh? You know, my team was the Washington team, called the Redskins. That's all I loved. That's all I wanted to ever play for. But, then Washington didn't sign guys from the area. They just didn't do it. But in going there, getting a chance to meet some great guys, Andre and Tippett and them, and had an opportunity to meet. I thought Grogan was, excuse my language, crazy because this guy would go down on special. He would play specialty team, but they wanted to play Tony East, and I thought, I just thought Grogan was the better of the two, but. Business is business, and at that time, then you didn't really understand that. And then we was just trying to make sure that we get contracts. And as you know, to be honest, certain positions were held for certain people. I'd be out there messing around, and coach said, "You probably could play corner, couldn't you?" I said, "Yeah, but I'm a safety coach. I want to see." I said, because sometimes the skilled positions, if you could play, African American would play in the corners and stuff. Not really the safeties. Who would play that. And I was just glad to have the opportunity and play. But of course, the money is not like it was now. So a guy, we talked sometime about the contracts, and I asked the guy. He said, "Man, I'm good. I signed for 5 years." I said, "You got a 5-year contract?" And I said, "You mind if I look at it?" Because I was always a business type of individual, although I was a sociology major. And it was a 5-year, 1-year deal. And he didn't understand that. I said, "But you understand, you got to make the team every year." He said, "Huh?" But this guy said, "No, 5 1-year deals." And a lot of guys then didn't understand business. I'm gonna just tell you, African Americans really didn't understand business. Not saying that we was derelicts in terms of that, but we really didn't know. A lot of us was glad. Think about when I was, in school, we would have played football for free. You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. And then you're getting a little money for it. And I myself, I had a daughter when I was in high school, so I was very, mindful of the money, and the money then was money compared to right now. So these are some of the things that I was always curious about, the business side of it, and that would lead me into, you'll ask me about that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's exactly as you said, kind of what will lead the rest of this conversation is the business aspect. I mean, you had the opportunity to play in the NFL, play for the Patriots. You're there for 4 or 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you had some time in the league. This wasn't a cup of coffee. This wasn't a training camp. You were there. You were
Yeah,
there.
but and it's crazy. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, this is your show, man.
We football is a collision sport. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then technology is not what it is today. And I hung around for almost 7 years, but I tore my rotator cuff. I don't know, you might can't tell. This shoulder is smaller than the other side. I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of a big guy. I tore my rotator cuff and trying to make a tackle. I shouldn't have, and I tore it and I couldn't lift it. And the doctor, I wasn't never been cut on before, so I wanted to get another opinion. I had surgery here in Washington, D.C., and this guy, Dr. Advisor or something, he's probably one of the top surgeons. But the way he said was, you tend to bleed, doctor. Oh, don't worry about it. You tore, we're going to have you good as new and all that. And right now, I still can only raise my arm this much. Really, I can't raise no more. And after the surgery, he said, "Well, it was better than we thought it was." I was like, "What are you saying?" Well, we had to shave the bone down and we had to try to tie the tendons back, but it was torn so bad. I'm like, so I'm looking at him like, and I'm going to kill him because, and then you're trying to go back and play because, once you practice in the NFL and they get you on film, that's it. That's why, now if I knew what I knew then, don't get on film, don't do nothing. And I noticed myself out there. And then when you look at yourself in practice, I had a good coach. He said, when they could, he said, look at yourself. And you no longer aggressive. In football, you got to be agile, hostile, and mobile. I'd say people that play football is crazy. You think you're Superman and you can't be hurt. Once you're hurt, then you realize you can be hurt. It's a different mindset. And looking at, I would kind of turn the shoulder and all the aggression is gone. And I realized that, hey, this not going to do it. I'm going to hurt myself again and hurt somebody else. So I knew it was time for me to think of something else. I did a little teaching for me. Then I opened up, I had a club that I owned and stuff. I always did community service programs. I designed No Thugs, No Drugs, Early Youth Offender Program, conflict resolution. Because I used to always tell guys, young people, especially people opinion of you don't have to be your reality. Because I was one of those little so-called at-risk youth too, But I realized that sometimes you got to look ahead.
Hmm.
And I got a few friends of mine together. I said, I'm thinking about starting a professional football league. So everybody look at me like I'm crazy. I said, not that semi-pro stuff, because there's no such thing as semi-pro. You're pro or you're not. That was
Hmm.
just that ignorant term. I say, well, if you put a little money in, we can do this, because they had minor league baseball, D leagues, but all they had a minor league system, but never football. Never football. I said, it's a niche here. It's time to jump in. Do you realize everybody said no to me?
Yeah, no, I could believe that. Absolutely. I mean, we see now like we see every other year, right? There's a new football league that tries to pop up in the spring and it does this. But obviously, you've been doing this for 30 years, so sorry to anybody that didn't get in on it.
And that's the key to it. But I had a few players that did connect with later. I don't know. Our president here is Bobby Wilson. I don't know if you remember. He was the Redskin #1 draft choice out of Michigan State in '91. That's the president here. And then we have Jamie Dukes. You might remember him. He do the NFL today, and he played with the Atlanta Falcons. So and Dave Garner, we got some guys that played in the league here and understand. But I had to use my money. And people believe in, people I always say it too, documentation be conversation. People don't want to hear about what you're going to do. They want to see it.
Hmm.
And I started the minor football league, and even you as a business person, and the concept would make you a millionaire. See, people with money don't have a concept, and people with a concept don't have money. What happened? The people with the money buys the concept, right? I started the minor football league with one team, and the Washington Chiefs. I don't know if you had an opportunity to go on my website and see it. And I took this team all around the country and played these so-called semi-pro champion teams, and we would
Okay.
beat the crap out of them. So everybody said, "Well, what league is this? Uh, how do you get in here?" I said, "You can't. Well, where's y'all? What's the name of what league y'all in?" I said, "The NFL." And so I started doing feasibility studies all around the country, putting teams there. And that's why the MFL is the laboratory of change. And what I mean by that, we want to bring former players from the field to the front office, give them an opportunity to be GMs, which the other league not doing it. Give them an opportunity to coach. Even with players beyond the field, if you don't have your degree, we want to make sure you get it. Now, believe it or not, like I said, I don't know the type of individuals. I know you did your research. But if you look at the MFL, you had all these leagues like the XFL that came and went. The Alliance Football League came and went. But the MFL is still here. And people say, well, what is he? Um,
What are you
we,
doing? I think
yeah.
that's the question that people are asking, right?
And even with the NFL, we had a meeting with them. You might see pictures of us at the NFL. And Troy Vincent, I just thought he would be more understanding what you want. But when Cadell found out about it, it was like, wait a minute, who is these people? Um, so they called us. But we're not trying to be other than nobody else but ourselves. We the MFL.
Just
We're
like
not trying
you.
to be the NFL.
That's
We're
what
not
you
trying to
told me.
be, just we're not trying to be anything else. The key to it is affordable entertainment. It's provide an opportunity you don't find outside of college or professional football. HBCU schools, you need to come, you get an opportunity to play. Also, I'm selling franchises where we're able to pay players. And I tell players right now, what's your secret all the time? Aren't you afraid somebody gonna take what you teaching them? I said, no, because I taught them everything they know, not everything I know. I will never teach you everything I know. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But we just want people to understand that we have an opportunity here. If you have an opportunity, we have dance teams, just like the NFL. The secret to the NFL is we don't pay players, but we have $1 million worth of insurance to cover young men case of injury. Most people just want an opportunity. Okay, we take care of traveling, hotel, pregame meal, provide the uniform. We even have our own apparel. The league has its own apparel.
I could
So
see, yeah.
Yeah, so that way we kind of can sustain ourselves, the money we make. But one young man told me, say, "Well, how much y'all paying?" I said, "How much did you get paid? Where have you played last year?" "Oh, they didn't pay me anything." I said, "What makes you think I'll pay you? I can't pay you." And I'm gonna be honest with you. If you was as good as you think you are, you would be in the other league. But let me rephrase that. It's not that you're not good enough to play in the NFL. It's not enough room. It's just not enough room. So guys got to understand that it has to be another alternative league, you know. And that what got me into the MFL. It cost me a marriage and everything else, but I stayed the course. I stayed the course.
I respect that, and I'm sure the league appreciates that
Um,
very much. So I'm curious though. So you say you started this league, and you kind of, it sounds like you took it really slow.
yes.
What was the impetus to start the league though? You said you want to give people the opportunity to become GMs and head coaches in an area that maybe they wouldn't get that, right? So where did this idea come from? Where did you say, hey, you know what would be cool? Yeah, and this is again 30 years ago. So this is the 90s, right? This was all again no social media,
80,
no
80,
internet.
yeah, 93 we
Okay,
started.
there we go. So no social media, no internet, like such a hard way. No email, right? Did people even have email back then? So how did you come up
No.
with this idea? How did you then? I know, as you said, you kind of traveled the country to face some of these other smaller teams, but how did this idea just come from? Hey, I want to start a minor league football team. To 30 years later, where you're franchising and you're having all these opportunities and you're building this brand on just this single idea.
Well, because like I say, people seeing is believing. You
Yep.
know what I mean? People don't want to hear about what you're going to do. And one thing about the MFL, and we're not going to talk about what we're going to do. This is what we already have done. We have a track record to show you we built it slowly and surely. Now we built it where we able to pay GMs. We're able to pay coaches, but that's still a lot less than you would pay a whole bunch of players. And one
Yep.
thing I think young men respect is the truth. And one thing about me, I'm gonna tell you the truth. A lot of kids thank God for social media. Now, right now, I have the NFL Network. I don't know if you've seen that. We do our own show and everything. People, I'm gonna be honest with you. NFL owners are billionaires. They got one franchise. They have other businesses, but football, you know, they're millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Not me. I got 32 franchises I got to worry about. And we put them in different parts of the country where they don't have professional football. Okay? I remember we went to Florida and we did a feasibility study. We were going to put a team down there, which we have down there. And Fox 5 and all of them came. I didn't know, really.
All right.
And the reporter, she said, this is nice, Dr. Myles, but I've never heard of the NFL. I said, well, China has 1 billion people, and I guarantee you not one of them ever heard of you. So what do that mean?
Yeah, who cares?
No, she didn't mean it like that. Oh, yes, she did. She meant it like that. But I'm not the one to do that to. All I'm saying is, all we trying to do is give people opportunities like marketing, PR, all these things where kids can actually come and understand and learn about their craft and understand business. And it takes time. I mean, it's not going like everybody see and call us now with social media. Wow, this is incredible. Why I never heard of this? You know, do you really think mainstream America at the time care anything about the minor football league?
No.
You know what I mean? They don't care. But when you have longevity and you've shown that you withstand, we had a lot of different before the COVID and everything. We had a lot of disasters that happened, but the MFL is still here. We're still here. We just still here.
And it's impressive. It's impressive.
Thank
It's
you.
exciting, right? And you're talking about the minor football league, right? The MFL, and if you just kind of compare it to minor league baseball, right? You can go to however many cities across America. There's hundreds of minor league baseball teams that are affiliated, and then there's hundreds that are unaffiliated with the Major League Baseball. I literally have a team that is no joke, 5 minutes from me. I grew up going to their games. We would go constantly. You know why? Because it's $12 to get in. A hot dog is $3. It's not $15. I don't have to drive to New York City to watch the Mets lose. Like, you don't have to do any of that. It's so much easier, and the entertainment on a summer night, it's so easy to go to, right? It's just, and I think it's very smart the way you thought of it. It's like, why would we try and compete in markets that have football? They're going to care even less. Go to markets that don't have it. Go to markets in the South, in the Midwest that, yeah, it's Husker country. I'm curious. Do you have a minor football league team in Nebraska? Right? They have the Cornhuskers, and they have nothing else. So I'm kind of curious. Like, how did you even think of? It sounds like you did feasibility studies, but start to plant those seeds in certain places too, because you need to find the people with money too, right? You know, as you said, you got the concept. You need the money. How did you kind of start to connect those dots along the way?
Well, believe it or not, everything is still owned by me. We're going
I
to
believe
sell
it.
the franchises, but it's affordable entertainment. And when you look at people, it's funny. People like to think they're getting something for nothing, correct?
Yep,
That's
they
just
love
the
that.
mentality of people. We do a season ticket, admit, it's a 10-game schedule, 5 at home, 5 away. Each division is center champion. We do a season ticket, admit 4 people, all 5 home games for $100. Now, come on. Can you
Do some
think
math.
about that?
$20,
Listen,
20 tickets, right?
no. One season ticket, 4 people come in it, all 5 home games.
That's 20
Okay?
tickets. Yeah.
Okay. But it's not 20 tickets. You come in on that one season
Yeah,
ticket.
well, so it's
You
but
bring
it's
them in.
I would essentially have to buy 20 tickets to make
Right.
it comparable. So yeah.
But yeah, we do it a season ticket. Now, you think about that. A lot of people say ain't a lot of money, but 1,000 tickets is $100,000. Okay. But the money is not made on the tickets. The money made on the concession. Because people in there for 3 hours, they're gonna eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna eat for 3 hours. So you got 4,000 to 5,000 people in these games. They're gonna eat. That's the money they're gonna park. They're gonna buy apparel.
Just got to
Then
get it in
you
the
talk
door.
about economic development, jobs where there are no jobs. Need people to clean up afterward, right? So that's the great thing about it. It's the concept of the affordable entertainment. You don't have to, we just talked to a minor league baseball team down in Waldorf, the Maryland Blue Crabs. I don't know if you heard
Mm-hmm.
of them.
Yep,
They
absolutely.
like, Dr. Miles, please put a franchise down. They got a nice facility, hold like 6,000 people, great sponsors, big old let up scoreboard. Now, people down in Waldorf don't want to come all the way to DC. It's too far.
Mm-hmm.
Too much traffic. But they had their own minor professional football team there.
They'll go.
And you just go back to your question you asked. I don't want you to think I just
No, you're good.
ignored it.
This
I
is a
had
conversation. It's fine.
my brother-in-law. He went to Nebraska. I told him. I said, look, how would you like to? I'm gonna put a franchise out there, and you be the GM. You hire the coaches. You know the guys that play football out there. They was ecstatic about it. And if you go on my social media, you'll see that the only problem was that him and his wife had
Well, that's
so
yeah, that
and
happens.
I didn't want to get in that. Then you have your problem. I want women GMs. We put team down in Mississippi, the Mississippi Panthers. We did signing it, they're all on the news and everything. But the lady want to steal the money. She said she didn't get the uniform. She didn't. She sent the money to the league, and I flew down and took her to the court. And the judge told her, "said You make it hard. You say you didn't get the uniform. Isn't this your signature? You got to sign for them."
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuff like that. And then you look at down in Alabama. Remember old Legion's Field?
Not off the top of my head.
Legion Field holds 70,000. It's just sitting there. You got a lot of stadiums just sitting there because most colleges got their own stadiums there.
Yep.
So, and then what happens to these young men when they don't go to the NFL? Most people look at them, oh, you're a failure, you're a bust, you ain't make the league. And that ain't the truth. The guy, it's not enough room. But when you can play and be a part of your community, we ask guys to do 100 hours of community service, then you're still relevant. And I know a lot of guys play in the league, and I'm so upset when I don't even want to talk to them. You're not playing no more, but yet and still you want to talk about you 47 years old, talking about I could still play in the NFL right now. Who want to pay you? You 47. I ain't gonna tell the names. You know I'm talking about
Yeah,
different
yeah,
players.
yeah.
And stop it. But now you have an opportunity to own a professional franchise, yours, not a part owner like you have some of these celebrities
Yeah.
and they got what they got 2%. You sitting in there at the same place I could buy a ticket. Okay, now you can own it. And I tell people the MFL, they say, yeah, the minor football league. I say, no, money for life if you own one. That's what the MFL stands for, money for life. And that's how the NFL was built. See, a lot of people don't know the history of the NFL. You a little young yourself, but the NFL started off with 80-some teams. If you do the research, did you know the first Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs, you know how much the ticket was? You don't remember, right?
I was very not alive.
I'll tell you, $5.
Five
And they couldn't
dollars.
sell it out. And they gave it. The first contract the NFL got is from NBC. NBC not around no more. You know how much it was for? $64,000.
A little different.
See, now look at it. So anything, it takes time. It takes time. And a lot of people don't understand. They just look at things, and if it doesn't catch on right then and there, but you realize you just stated, you never run out of people. Madison Avenue give the NFL millions of dollars, right? Because they don't care if you come into a game or not, because you home watching the game. What you got on there? Beer commercials, hot dogs, sodas, pizza. What you gonna do? Order, right? That's why Madison Avenue give them all that money. Mm-hmm. And what's everybody look for now? What we doing now is very innovative now. We don't need regular TV because you got social media. Okay? Makes sense? You think about social media now. Man, you know how many people you reach?
A lot.
Everybody gonna see this thing. So that's why, people don't understand this is the new. I got 10 companies trying to give me 10 proposals for screening the games. Because that's the way now. That's the new technology now.
And people are gonna again, I think the way you built it is the best because, as you said, you're gonna send somebody to Nebraska, your brother-in-law. He knows the people who used to play there, right? Those guys still want to play football. It's unfortunate that they can't. Whatever happened, but they still want to play. And those people in the area are gonna know their names, and they're gonna be drawn to see. Hey, when this guy used to play at Nebraska, that was fun. Hey, he's playing it. It's $5, $10 to get in the game. Sure, let's go. Why not? That's easy. So it's so much easier, and the opportunity to watch these players that some of these guys might have grown up watching. Some of these guys and girls grew up watching, where they remember the heyday and what they used to do. I think that that's really important to just connect back, as you said, with the community. I also just love the fact that you have everybody do 100 hours of community service. I think that's very important. I am curious, Doc, with as long as you've been around the leagues, the league, the teams, the opportunities, what are some of the success stories? What are some of those? Hey, this guy was a GM, and now you know what? He's in the ranks of an NFL team, or this guy was playing in the league and caught somebody's eye. He was actually able to make it back to the NFL. What are some of those stories? Because that's always those are always nice to talk about, right?
Absolutely, but sometimes. You ever heard the old saying, when you want to hide something, hide it in plain sight, if you want to hide it? Now, you remember the name Eric Swan, right?
I remember Lynn Swan. I don't think I remember.
Eric Swan.
I don't think so.
Defensive end, Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
All pro. Remember that name? Check it out. You get a chance.
I'll Google it.
Where do you think he come from? He ain't go to no college. What do you think Barry Word? Remember Barry Word? Remember him?
No.
Went to Barry Word. Remember?
Sorry, I'm not great.
Major Harris. Okay, well, Major Harris. These guys played in the NFL, but these guys played here first. We went up there and played. We was going to put a franchise there, the West Virginia Lightning, and they played the Washington Chiefs and the Washington Post. Everybody was there. The Washington Chiefs was no match for them. And they wrote on the front page of the Washington Post, the Washington Chiefs was hit by lightning because they beat the Washington Chiefs 68-28. But the fact that you had these guys here and then went to the next level. Now, even me and Bobby joke about this now. He said, what school did Eric Swan go? Eric Swan was picked before Bobby Wilson.
Yeah.
And you know he was the Redskins one draft job. But see, these are guys that people don't know. And where these guys come from, you see a lot of guys now that the different NFL teams was pulling off practice squad practice team. They say, well, who is this guy? We never heard of him. You give these guys a chance, but you can't sit home on the couch and look at the game. You have to. It has to be a developmental league. You saw the national championship game, right?
Yes.
Everybody just knew Alabama gonna beat Georgia. I told everybody I should have sold some shirts and said, y'all, you're next. Alabama told, in the middle of that field, told Alabama, do you remember us? Georgia beat Alabama because what happened? When their star players went down and they brought them backups in, the kids wasn't ready. You ain't playing 4 years. And you expect these kids to be developed. Now, they're good athletes, but you have not played in no game situation. You can't win like that. That's why the kids look so out of place. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we was telling kids. It's better to go to a school that you're going to play as opposed to being on the team for 4 or 5 years. Yes, you got the rings and bowl rings and all that, but you get in the NFL camp, oh, he played at Alabama, let's give him a look. You're exposed because you never played. That's why it's so important for the NFL. We're the only developmental league in the country. The only one. You got to develop guys. You can't just throw them guys. I feel sorry for them guys. Oh, that receiver should have caught that. He ain't playing 4 years. You throw him in the national championship game. Crunch time. Come on. You understand what I'm saying? It just don't make sense. That's why it's so important to have a developmental league. You have to have these guys ready. NFL, and you tell me if I'm wrong, the NFL, the line play of the NFL is the worst it ever been in years.
It's not that good anymore. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
The line, because these guys, they not developed. You get a guy because he went to a certain school, but did he play?
And I'm a Giants fan, so I know how bad the offensive and defensive lines have been, and I watch that a lot. So it hasn't been.
What about the Washington team? They
got a good defensive line.
Let me say this to you. You can play, the NFL is different from college. Like you get a lot of these guys like Chet Young, everybody, nice kid, but that's college. When you got better players than everybody else, you're supposed to be people. But when you get in the NFL, things are a lot different. A lot different. Okay, when you was manhandling people in college running by, these big tackles in the NFL, once they got their hands on you, done. Mm-hmm. You done. You done. So if they talk about the line play, and I tell people all the time, the NFL is great, but it's also not for long. That's what the initial's really for. The NFL, not for long.
MFL's coming for you.
You know, so we're not coming for no one. We just want people to understand that this is an opportunity that you don't find outside of college, the professional football. Some guys got good jobs and they just still have it in them. It takes 5 to 6 years to get football out your system, especially when you've been playing since you've been 6 years old.
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You can have a job making $200,000 a year. You still have that in you. And we play during the summer, June to August. We done. I don't know. You had the opportunity to go on the website, and if you notice, you seen all them championship rings up there, right? Mm-hmm. Those are Washington Chiefs championship rings. I coached them then. No. My reason for saying that, we had kids that come from all over the country. We had to get them jobs and everything. I said, I can't do this. I want guys to stay in their hometown or their state, and that's why we want to put the team there. We don't want guys trapped and have to get a job. Stay where you at. You got jobs there, and now you got your whole community coming out to look. You're only 25 years old, 24 years old. You know, your career is not over. We don't sign guys 30 or something. That's too old because the NFL, the free agency stopped at 28, but you have to be in the league. Mm-hmm. So we tell young guys, we want to develop you guys, you know, and we want to do some things that, you know, a lot of people not going to take time with you. But, you know, everybody want to play in the NFL. It's just a dream. But it's a dream. And sometimes you got to wake up from the dream. You might sleep good, but you got to wake up, right?
At some point.
You,
Yep.
you know that some point you got to wake up. If you don't, that means something else happened to you. But you got to understand that this is an opportunity that will never happen again. And that's why we say the MFL is the laboratory of change.
I love it. I think it's important. I think it's great. It gives people hope. It gives people a chance. As you said, like just because you're done playing college and you don't make it to the league, like how is there nowhere else or nothing else to do? You still want to play football. You're 22, you're 23, you're 24 years old. You still don't you've loved this sport your entire life. Why not get that opportunity to play it? So I think what you guys are doing over there at the MFL is very important. Richard, this has been Dr. Richard Myles. This has been absolutely fantastic. You earned that, doctor. I'm gonna give it to you,
Thank
brother.
you.
So
Thank
I
you.
think this has been fantastic. I'm curious. Like, let the people know who are listening. Like, where can they learn more information? Where can they watch some of these games? Where can they find their local teams to see if they want to go out and watch some of these games? A couple more months, and we'll get
June,
there.
yeah, June. We start in June. We like 6 months out, but thank you. I appreciate you having us. Yes, you can go to our website, mflishere.com. We on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, you can easily, like I say, thank God for the social media. We are signing players now. Because of COVID, we're not going to go. I'm not going to do the camps no more. But we signed 60 players per team. So that once you sign, then we're going to sign you to that franchise and get ready for the season because we're not going to do a lot of traveling because of COVID right now. We want to be a little careful with that. But if you're looking for internship, marketing, PR, sports management, trainers, you can come here. Sports journalists, we have the MFL network, So, we have all these things available. Dance team, we got great dance teams. I know you had an opportunity to see that. Kind of surprised you, huh? So, we ain't up at a carbon copy of the NFL. And I tell people, you don't have to invent the wheel. But what we're doing, we're more advanced than what the NFL doing. They comfortable now. You know how you get you the big
Fat and
dog
happy.
on the
Yep.
street. So you fat and happy, but we still hungry, and we want to give young men an opportunity to play ball. We want you to get an opportunity in a safe environment. You play. It's a very professional league, as you can see. $1 million worth of insurance in case of injury. We travel. We take care of the traveling, the hotels. We feed the players. We also provide the uniforms for the teams, and our logo is almost similar, but they're different as you look at them. They're different. When you first look at them, you're like, wait a minute.
It's close.
But they're different, absolutely. And like I say, why invent the wheel?
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think it's important, right? And just the fact that you have the players. But I think the more interesting part, and as you kind of talked about, is the opportunity that you're giving people in the community to enjoy, but also be a part of it. As you said, there's internships,
Absolutely.
there's all these things. So I'll make sure to have the website on the in the show notes on YouTube. I'll put it in the
I
podcast as well. So
appreciate
if
it.
anybody wants to check that out, I know I have a lot of college kids listening to this show, high school
Oh,
students. If they're interested in that kind of stuff,
please.
this is a legitimate opportunity where you can cover a football team. I think that is super cool, and you don't get those opportunity. That is something that's gonna bump your career. That's gonna make you much better. You're gonna be a lot different. I can guarantee that than some of the other people applying for those jobs. So, Dr. Richard Myles Sr., this has been absolutely fantastic. Sincerely appreciate you
Thank
giving me
you.
some of your time as well as listeners. It's the only thing we
Oh,
don't get more of. So thank you for giving me some of yours. So I appreciate everybody out there. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine.